Okay, so this video is going to be an update video to the Chicago Electric portable variable speed bandsaw or Harbor Freight bandsaw. Now I purchased this a couple months ago and I'm pretty much going about 90 days on this thing, and in that time I've had a lot of problems with this bandsaw. Now it's pretty much been with the pulleys themselves, and now I ran into another issue. But before I get into all that though, this video is going to be really helpful for the people who have had their blade slipping on their machine. And there's one way of curing that, and it's actually kind of like preventative maintenance, I guess, or this thing pretty much needs maintenance every time you use it. When you're actually cutting metal, the metal actually gets sucked into the pulleys here, and what ends up happening is your pulley ends up taking all those shavings, I mean not all of them, but most of them, and pretty much embedding them into the pulley. So I'll go ahead and show you guys really quick here all the material that gets embedded in there. And there's really no way of preventing this, because there's always going to be material that's going to get on this. And that's just because this machine here, because it's running clockwise, it's pulling that blade, and all that material is pulling it inside along with it. And the only remedy to, I guess, keep this from picking up so much material would be to add some kind of a wiper on here, so your material gets pushed off instead of going inside and pretty much building up on that pulley. When material picks up on that pulley, what happens is that material pretty much slides along the blade here, on the inside of the blade, and it ends up slipping. I mean, there's just no grip because you have a whole bunch of material there. It's steel, or if you're cutting aluminum, even worse, because that aluminum's going to embed itself and pretty much get smashed down, and it's going to be very hard to take it out of this plastic. And that's pretty much what it is plastic, and it's more of a casting type of plastic is what it is. It's not rubber, it's not anything else. Maybe different models, but I know these are plastic off of this model here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my magnetic screwdriver here, which is also from Harbor Freight, and I'm going to go ahead and pretty much true this up and take the material out of the plastic that's here, because the plastic ain't even anymore. I mean, it's kind of riding off on one side because one of the bearings got messed up, or it actually froze on me. So this is going to be pretty much how to do it with the screwdriver. You could take this off and do it with some really coarse grit sandpaper like what I got here, which is like 50 grit, just to remove the shavings. But this is a much faster way that I'm going to show you right now. So this is loud, and I'm just going to go ahead and turn on the motor and go. It's going to turn clockwise, and I'm just going to go ahead and just pretty much drag this along. I'm not going to put any force onto it. All I'm doing at the moment is pretty much taking away that material that's kind of embedded in there. So what this does, or this process does, is it knocks some of those little pieces out, and it gets most of them out. You're not going to get all of them exactly out of there. So anyways, I'll go ahead and do that. So just some light pressure, and just to show you guys, that is all the material that came off right there. And that's nothing compared to what is embedded in this. I mean, there's a crap load of material that's in there. So I mean, I could run this all day long, and you know, I'll end up probably wearing out the plastic, but um, I'm not gonna do that. All I'm doing is trying to take off the big material that's stuck in there, and there's still some there, so I could go over and over and over and do it. There's no need to apply any heavy pressure. I mean, just barely a little bit, because all you're doing is knocking that stuff off, and that's pretty much it. And then um, you can go ahead and scuff it up with some coarse sandpaper. I go ahead and I use that 50 grit just a little bit, just to scuff it up so it can grab onto the blade, and so there won't be any slippage at all. So I've already gone ahead and I've trued one of them, and as you can see, there's a little bit of material left, but it's not much. I mean, I can't take it all out. I mean, there's pieces that in there that are going to stay in there regardless, and I don't want to take them out because I'm going to be left with a big old dimple in there. But just pretty much the stuff that will come off. So I'll take the sandpaper and just pretty much do a very light scuff on there. I mean, I don't want to wear this wheel down. And then after that, I grab some grease and wax remover, which I already have on here, and just go ahead and wipe it all down. Make sure there's no oil on there, and you can leave it out to dry after wiping it down, just so it can grab onto the blade, because if there's oil on this thing, it's going to slip like crazy. So with that one that I already done previously, I'll go ahead and just remove this to show you guys how much material I've taken off so far. And I'm not going to chew this one on the camera all the way clean like the other one, but it's just to show you guys the process on how to do this. So as you can kind of see, I've already knocked quite a bit of material on there, and there was a little lip on here which I already kind of actually knocked down too. Also, what you could do is, which I've already gone ahead and done, is you can scuff the inside of your blade. Now you do that crisscross pattern on it, and you can just go one way, go all around this, and then you can turn this around and go ahead and scuff it too. Be careful not to grind or to actually sandpaper off the teeth here, because that's pretty much what cuts on this darn thing. You don't want to screw that up. What you can just do is just lightly scuff it without touching the teeth, and that will give you pretty much enough grip to grab onto that pulley. The main thing that you're trying to do here is to clean up your pulleys and your blade, and you want this to have grip. I mean, without grip, that thing is just gonna slide. I mean, when you go to cut, this thing will slide like crazy. You don't want to add any oil dripping devices or anything like that either to this, because that oil will get on that pulley there. It ain't gonna do any good because you're gonna have a whole bunch of slippage. When it comes to this one, I have to return it because the bearing froze on me, and what was going on here is that the top of the blade was getting really hot, and it was pretty much indenting itself onto this pulley. So as it was getting hot, it was kind of warping and sticking on there, and I would go to make some cuts and the blade was actually off. And I mean, I can't get any replacement parts for this thing. I mean, this thing is frozen. I mean, there ain't nothing else I can do but return it. And since I'm within the warranty period, I guess I'll go ahead and exchange this thing. If not, I'll probably get another tool or something like that. But that's pretty much how to true up one of these things. And I don't know if I would actually even recommend this tool because of all the problems and all the maintenance that it takes. I mean, I don't think a more expensive tool would require such maintenance or heavy maintenance to the darn thing. When it comes to these pulleys and this part where the bandsaw rides, I mean, that's pretty much plastic. I mean, the pulley I think is like some kind of cast, but the material itself is nothing but plastic or casting plastic. So if you got one of these things and that's all gone, what you could do is you can actually make a new one with casting resin, and that'll work just fine too. Because that's what that stuff is. It ain't even rubber. All it is pretty much like casting resin on that thing. All this thing is pretty much cheap, low quality stuff. Even the housing. I mean, if you knock this thing good, you'll. I mean, I almost broke it there, but I guess it's decent for light work, I guess, but I wouldn't recommend this tool. That's my update on it. And I don't know, besides the bearings, and I don't want to buy bearings and hunt down bearings. I'd rather return this thing and not deal with the headaches, I guess. Anyways, that's it for this video. I want to thank you for watching, and see you on the next one.